Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Language Lounge. So this week I managed to finish up book 2 of Japanese from Zero. So that was pretty exciting. So now two things are going to happen. One is that I'm starting into Japanese from Zero book 3. And so I've already gone through the kind of pre-lesson section, I think it was. Essentially, it's the pre-lesson to lesson 1, which taught the first 6 kanji that they're going to teach, which is the kanjis for the numbers 1 through 6. So it teaches you how to draw them, and it also, this part I find kind of really cool, it also gives you 6 examples, 6 different examples of different things that would be used for. So like for the number 1, they have one that's just the number 1, and they have ichido, which is one time. They have hitotsu, which is one thing. They have ichigatsu, which means January, and it actually shows like the kanji of the full kanji next to it. And so that's really cool. So the other thing that I also have is I have this book called Remembering the Kanji. So from all the research that I've done, this is actually this was published in like the 70s originally or something like that. Let's find out. 77 roughly? Yeah, 77. But even having been published in the 70s, apparently this book is actually still relevant, and it is as far as I understand it, is like the best way for a foreigner like myself to learn what the kanji are. Now, the only difference between this book and Japanese from Zero is that this book does not give you the pronunciation of the kanji in the different situations. So this one is just helping you remember each individual kanji symbol. So like this, well, that's a little far in, but that's okay. So like there's a kanji here that means document. There's a kanji that means wick, loyalty. But it's not telling you, oh, you pronounce this one this way, or this one this way, or anything like that. It does tell you how to draw them for the most part, at least the first few. Well, yeah, it does it for most of them. But in the later ones, it looks like in the second part maybe, or something like that, it starts to get into the kanji that are single symbols, but that the single symbols are combinations of 2 or 3 or more other kanji that already exist. And the one thing that this doesn't cover, and actually I read in the introduction, because I already read the introduction, is that this book, neither this or the follow-up, the Remembering the Kanji 2, as far as I understand it, neither one of them include the compound kanji, the ones that are 2 kanji that represent a specific idea. It is just individual kanji. And so this one, I'm going to kind of combine this with Japanese from Zero Book 3. So I'm going to combine these two, and I'm going to do, essentially do what I can. I've almost have this notebook filled up. Like I have maybe 15-ish pages left. Like I have 99 pages of actual handwritten notes. And at this point, I'm just marking down, like copying down the kanji, and then some of the vocab. And then, once that's filled up, I'll graduate onto a notebook that I picked up today. So it's a 5-subject one that's going to give me more room than this one does. So then, the other thing that I'm doing is I have finally, and I've mentioned this in a few videos before, I have finally started to import stuff into Anki. And so I started with this one, so I'm going to take these two, and I'm going to take all of the vocabulary from them. And I'm going to put those into Anki. And literally I just went to the back of this book here, of the first one. And I went to actually that one there, the hiragana, or the kana glossary back here. And I'm literally just going through and I'm going to input all of these into Anki. And I don't even know how many words there actually are. And then on top of that, I'm going to go back through the lessons. And I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to copy down the phrases that it teaches. And I'm going to copy down sentences that are in there. with their translations. And so I'm going to copy like anything that's in there that's like, I mean, it's just because I don't want to get a whole bunch of words and then not know like really fully how they go together. I also want some phrases in there. So if I like need the phrase for, you know, it's a simple phrase and I already know how to do it, but if I need the phrase for like, where is your car? You know, I'm not just going to know the word where and car and maybe know your, I'll actually know how to say the full sentence together. You know, that's kind of the goal for that. And so like I said, I started doing that today. So hopefully I'll actually be able to get that done. It's gonna take a while, but because I'm gonna do it again, I'm gonna do it with the second book too. And then when I'm finished with the third one, I'm gonna do the same thing with that. And as I'm going, I'm also going to switch out, rather than it having the word ashita and then tomorrow and kuruma and car, with where the flip side would be kuruma and then flip side would be car, or things like that. I'm eventually going to switch it, kind of change things up so that it says kuruma on the one side and just has a picture on the other, just a picture of a car. Whether that's my car or somebody, probably not my car, probably something a little nicer than my car. But because that way, there's also more research that shows that you're going to remember better when you're learning a language like this. You're going to remember better if you have something to correlate it with. Because at this point, I'm correlating Japanese with English, and a better way to do it is to correlate the Japanese with the thing itself. So instead of like Ellie down here, you know, instead of it in my head going, okay, inu is dog, okay, dog. Instead of that, I can look at a picture of like Ellie, and I want to be able to have my mind immediately go inu, or neko for for the cat. And that's how the Fluent Forever method works. Is it's just fully like an Anki thing, but it goes through and it's just correlating the word in Japanese or whatever language that you're studying with a picture of the actual thing, or something that like to you would represent that thing. And it doesn't stop at just single words. It also does full phrases and sentences. And so you could have some elaborately long sentence, and if you have a picture or a couple of pictures combined, that to you, that's what that means, like that sentence would make you think of that, or that would make you think of that sentence, then it helps you to correlate that, so that you start correlating it with that. So it's a little closer to how you would have been learning your first language. As you get all that massive input. Part of that massive input is, for Aiden, is for him pointing at his shoes and I saying, yeah, those are your shoes. It's the same kind of principle. He's then correlating that word with the object, because he has nothing else to compare it to. He doesn't have to go, okay, kuruma, car, inu, dog. He can just look at Ellie and he knows dog, dogi, dodi. That's kind of how he says it. And so that's kind of one way to do it that's been really good. So, like I said, once I kind of get my Anki up and going, for me, it's a lot of times not as big of a deal. I can usually separate the two, and I can then hear a sentence in the language. And even if I haven't studied with pictures like I'm hopefully planning on, I generally have the ability to hear it anyway. Like, my ears have been really good, so thankfully I can generally kind of separate those. Some people can't. And so if you can't, then I would suggest doing the pictures. It's going to be a lot easier. And if I can figure it out and get it to work and get my Anki deck going, and possibly get it working with pictures as opposed to words right off the bat, which I'm going to try, because I only have 4 words in there right now, so I can just change them, then I'm just going to do that. Because I would rather have the pictures on there to correlate it so that I can see the picture and go, oh yeah, kuruma, neko, inu, kaba, which is a hippo. So, and things like that. So I would rather have that, and I'd rather have a picture of, some winter wonderland like we have here right now in April with a foot of snow on the ground in Colorado. Sheesh. I'd rather look at that, and instead of trying to rack my brain and being like, okay, winter, what's winter in Japanese? I can just look outside and see all the snow, and immediately my brain will pick up both words at once, because that's a lot of times I think, like, I don't know this for sure, but from kind of just my limited experience, that seems to be kind of what your brain would do, is that you're going to look at, you know, like the snow and everything. Snow in Japanese is yuki. So you're going to look at the snow outside, and your brain is going to immediately do two things. Your brain is going to go, oh, snow, yuki, yeah. And so you're going to eventually get the ability to just look at something. And if you're already thinking in that language because, you know, you're talking to somebody in, you know, at Epcot and Disney World, or you're over in Japan on a vacation or something like that, and somebody says something in Japanese, your brain is already in Japanese, so you're immediately going to go, okay, yuki, or fuyu, I believe is winter, you know, and so your brain's already going to be in that mode. And then when you're with your English speaking friends, you will switch back. I think there's a couple of different polyglots that I've watched some of their videos. One of them did a whole video on how polyglots switch between languages. And I haven't watched it, and now I'm really curious because I want to know if that's actually how it works. Because like the people like Steve Kaufman and I believe Stephen Krashen knew quite a few languages. Like the people like that know, you know, 10, 12, 20 languages. I want to know how they separate them. And not necessarily separate them, but how they would switch between them. That's kind of one of the things I'm curious about, because once I'm done with Japanese and I am at a very high level of Japanese, because I want to get my Japanese to a very high level. So once I get up to a fairly high level and I'm confident that I can then move on while still learning more Japanese and studying something else, then I'm going to move on to other languages, because I don't just want to learn Japanese. Japanese is my main one, but I also want to learn others. I would like to learn Mandarin Chinese. I would like to learn Korean. I would like to learn German and Spanish and French. And while learning all of these different languages may not necessarily be fully feasible, that's just something that I want to do. You know, it's something that I enjoy doing, and whether or not I end up being able to speak any of them, you know, maybe I only end up being able to speak, you know, Japanese, or maybe I don't end up being able to speak any of them at all. Like, it just kind of depends. But that's okay with me, because, you know, if I only ever know how to read, or how to read the language and how to understand it, I'm okay with that, because I enjoy the language, you know. I should mention there's also one other thing that I've added on to the two books. I've also started studying with the Link program, LANGQ. I also started studying with that. That's actually been pretty fun. There's a lot of content on there. Some of it's a little iffy, but I have found a couple that I really liked. The one of them I found that was entertaining, it was just some children's songs. So the first one that I started going through last night, I didn't even realize this until last night, and I've been doing this for a couple of days now. And I realized this last night that they had those children's songs on there, and the first song was "If You're Happy and You Know It." And I actually really enjoyed learning it. I learned the first phrase anyway, the "If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands." I learned that whole verse. And it was just really fun for me to learn, because, I don't know, I like music. I've done stuff with music my whole life, pretty much. And so it just seemed to stick more than some of the other stuff did. Because Link, it has stuff that you read, and you would, as you're reading it, you click on the words you don't know. But it also has audio that goes along with it. And the audio was the actual song. It was like a child and an adult singing the song. You know, it was just, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. So it was just going along singing it. Although it was singing in Japanese. But it was just really fun. And it managed to stick a little bit. I would have to go back and kind of take a quick look at it again so that I could refresh my mind and remember it. But I've also added that on. I completely forgot to mention. But yeah, so that was kind of my update on where I am. Like I said, I've finished book 2. I'm on to book 3. And I'll be studying in book 3, and then hopefully before too long also be working on remembering the kanji. And we'll see where I get from there. I'm starting to do my Anki deck, and so hopefully I'll be able to keep that going and get up to a good level. But anyway, if you like the video, don't forget to give us a like and give us a comment down below. Let us know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe. And as always, don't forget, to thank the Phoenicians.